Hello and welcome to our Splashcast. We have somebody, it looks like according to this, it's Frankie McCutchan. But could Frankie McCutchan say who he actually is all the way through?
I'm McCutchan, Frankie McCutchan.
And what school do you swim for, Frankie?
I swim for University High School.
Well, awesome. Well, welcome to the Splashcast.
Thank you for having me.
No problem. This is the world's most intimidating podcast ever.
Well, it's my first podcast, so.
Oh my goodness. You know what? I feel honored to be your first podcast ever. All right. Well, the first thing is, nobody has seen what I'm about ready to show you.
Okay.
I'm always full of surprises. All right. And this is going to look like bad math homework. Okay. And this is going to look like bad math homework, but I promise you. And I'm going to show you something. And I just want you to think of what you think of this. I'm going to sort of explain it whenever I see this. I'm going to share my screen. Okay. I'm going to share my screen. Here it is. And this is coming onto the site here very shortly. All right. Do you see a bunch of stuff on here?
Oh, yeah, I see it.
All right. So I have figured out a way to individually rank all of you magical swimmers here on SwimWV. And without further complicating this more than it ever has to be, basically the percentage is, and I could explain to you and it would be like a bad math class. But basically this is the percentage away you average from all of the top times. In case you haven't figured out, I'm a math person. So if you look at there's good old Frank McCutchan at number 6. And I'm about ready to debut this here this evening. So you were the first person to have seen this. So now I'm going to stop sharing and you can look at this for a little bit longer if you want, but just tell me what you think about this, or you could just say SwimWV, you're really crazy.
Well, I don't think you're crazy, but people, I mean, I definitely could never figure out like the percentage in math, like PowerPoint rankings. So I think it's really interesting just to see like how you rank up and everything. Wow, it's like really intricate. Well, I'll take a look at it later, but yeah, that's interesting.
It is. I thought I would take a look at that. And then yes, according to the magical intricacies of and I will have to probably explain it until I'm black and blue of how I came up with that. But according to SwimWV, you are officially the 6th ranked male swimmer so far. Congratulations. I just wanted to debut that. So you're the first person I wanted to see. And then you look just as confused as I thought you would look. So good. All right. On to other things. So tell me, what are you thinking about? So university, I think we're having some big meets coming up. So tell me what is university thinking about, and what's Frankie's goal for the rest of this year here?
Well, I mean, we have states coming up, and that's sort of in terms of the WVSAC, that's sort of the biggest and sort of most stressful meet. So I'm excited for it, and I think in terms of my training and everything I've done this season, I'm positioned well for the state meet, and I definitely throughout the season I've had some rough swimming, so ready for to taper and put on a good suit and sort of be where I need to be.
Now, are you speaking of good suit? Are you one of those $500 tech suit persons? Are you just what is a good suit for regionals and states?
I mean, I don't spend $500, but I do need a suit because, in all honesty, my dad pulled out all my tech suits from my swim bag at my mid-season meet and washed them in the washing machine. So I don't have any tech suits left.
Oh my gosh.
So I need to get a new one. And, yeah, I'm sort of in the fan club of, tech suits and expensive swimwear. I don't know if they help, but I feel like that they do help is sort of like a mental thing. I don't know.
It is. Well, I feel like just having a suit that's 5 times too small for you is just, I think something
Oh,
about having to shove it on might be like, okay, it's serious now.
yeah. The feeling of discomfort gives you the adrenaline.
All right, so now talk to me. So, how do you think? How do you talked about some of your rough struggles? Do you think like do you think you're? Let's talk more. Do you think that maybe is it like a senior year thing? Do you think maybe you're just like on like a little plateau? Do you think like I've been swimming since I've been like 2 years old, and that's what's kind of caused that? Or what's talk to me a little bit more about that.
Well, in August, my mom passed away of melanoma. And throughout the summer, as she got sicker, I sort of stopped training for obvious reasons. I mean, and dealing with, the grief of losing her has definitely, I mean, it's affected my whole life, including swimming, because swimming is such a, big part of my life. So the first part of my season was really just about getting back into shape, increasing, my base and my aerobic capacity. And this next part of the season has sort of just, it's been for racing, and it's hard to compete and to train with, sort of the external things outside of swimming. It's difficult, and it's impacted my season. And so I'm looking for the state meet, and I'll go to sectionals after the state meet, which is the USA meet, to sort of, get my confidence back in the water and with my racing.
Well, first of all, I am incredibly sorry for your loss, and the fact that you're still swimming, that's that's amazing. I think so. Kudos to you for that, because I don't know if I would lose a mother if I would be like ready to go swim. So kudos to you. So let's talk about club versus high school. Is there things you like about, because you're doing both? Is there things you like about club meets that you don't get to do in high school, or vice versa? Let's talk about that a little bit.
Well, in terms of like different things I can do in club or high school, I'm more of a distance swimmer. I swim the mile and the 400 IM, and different events like that aren't offered at the high school level. So when I swim club meets, it does give me the opportunity to swim that. Now, with saying that, I'd rather swim the 200 free than the mile, or anything else. But high school does give me opportunities to race that club doesn't give me. You're racing once, twice a week, sometimes at meets, and at the USA level or club level, you don't really get that. But when you do have a meet, it's like a 4-day meet. So there's definitely trade-offs to both. High school can, in some ways, can be more fun because, you're traveling with a team, you're, sort of getting recognized by your school, and you get, the opportunities to race. But for recruiting purposes and all that, I would say club is more beneficial. Minus the state meet though, because you are able to get official times in events that you would swim. Because I swim the 500 anywhere and the 2 free, so I'm able to. And I mean the 100 breast, I'm not really sure what I'm going to swim, but you're able to get. I don't know. I like them both. I've been both. I didn't swim high school my sophomore year, which in all honesty was a regret of mine. Because I feel like I can sort of maximize both, I don't know, both club and high school for different reasons.
Yeah. Now, I would not want to, no offense, please take no offense to this, but I would not want to watch any of your miles.
Boring to watch and boring to swim, but
how do you swim a mile? Like, I've been coaching high school forever. But how do you get the mental capacity to like say, you know what, I'm going to just swim. I don't even know how many laps that is, but that's a lot of laps. Is there like, what do you think about when you swim a mile?
I don't know. I think about pace because you have someone counting for you. I think about, things. You think about the pain and, you sort of just try to build by 500s and then sprint the last 150.
There's a sprint at the end. So after you do 1500, you gotta figure
Yeah,
out a way.
got to pull at the end. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I've known a couple people that swim a mile, and I can just imagine me being a coach and having to watch 7 heats of the mile. I feel like that would be the worst punishment ever known to man.
Especially when you're in like the 6th, 5th, 6th, 7th heat of the mile, then you have to sit and wait, and you know what's, but you just have to sit for it. It's like a scheduled execution.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Now, you were talking about recruiting, so I feel like if you don't mind me asking, because we're on the podcast now and this is the first one, is there some place that you are planning on going to college?
Yeah, so I committed to Westchester University, and that's near Philly. And when did I committed probably end of October. And it was just like a really good fit for me. Coach Mazarak and Coach Paliakov are really great guys. And I just really sort of felt myself fit in there, and especially connect with the team. So I'm excited to be there next fall.
Now, do you have advice? Because I know I get asked this by lots of parents. I get asked by lots of students and swimmers. Do you have any advice on like the actual recruiting process itself? Is there did you get bombarded with people? Was there mail? Did you have to do something special? Like how did the recruiting process work?
So really, if you're at risk of A cuts finaling at NC2As, or you're at that power index of a swimmer, then colleges will reach out to you. But if you're a good swimmer, but not like that level, you're going to have to reach out. You're going to have to go on the website and fill out the form, and the form will have all sorts of questions about, what events you swim, what type of swimmer you are. And then it will ask you to leave your email. And then from there, coaches will then reach out to you once they've seen that you have filled out the form. So you just really have to go on athletic websites and swimming, and then you go into recruiting athlete perspective form, and you fill that out, and then a coach will reach out to you. And then from that point, you'll have calls with them. You'll have a series of calls, and then that will lead to maybe a recruiting visit, or an unofficial, then an official. You get, I think, 4 officials. 4 official visits. The NCAA allows 4 official visits, and official visits are like 48-hour visits that you go to and you spend with the team. And then from there, you'll make your decision. But you really have to fill out the forms. That's the most important part. And from there, you'll be connected with coaches to see if it's a good fit for you.
Now, let's talk about, so you're talking with the state meet. So you didn't swim your sophomore year, like you just said. And then your junior year, we had whatever we'd like to call whatever last year's state swim meet was. So, so let's talk about, so you haven't had like a full state meet experience since your freshman year. Is that something that you think about? Are you just finally excited to get to it again? Like, talk about your feelings. I mean, obviously you still have to qualify for regionals, but but talk about, is there like a feeling of, oh my goodness, I'm finally going to get back to like a normal state meet again?
Yes and no. I sort of like the time finals swims. Through COVID, both at the high school and club level, I was able to do that a lot because they wanted to, sort of cut back on the numbers on the deck at a time. And I sort of like them, but I'm not really scared for a 2-day meet because I've been swimming year round since I was 11, and I've been to many 2, 3, 4-day meets, trials, finals. So swimming at sort of trials, finals over a 2-day period, it isn't like to me. I'm not really nervous for it, but I am excited because honestly, my freshman year state meet was so fun. I feel like being a freshman, it's just like you see the seniors, and it's fun to see that, like David Snyder and like all of them, and being on deck with them is definitely something that you don't get in a one day meet because it's so quick.
Yeah.
So it is sort of exciting. I like the first day of state meet always. Second day is a little bit more stressful.
It is.
Oh yeah. So
Well, the first day is always more fun. You get to hang out with everyone. Speaking of that, because I've already had Bruce on here, I've had Henry on here, and I've already talked about that. So talk about your relationship with them. I mean, I know you guys are good friends, but just talk about your relationship. I mean, are you guys like rooting each other on from afar? Do you guys contact each other daily? Like, talk about like the relationship between like you guys.
So I don't know Henry as well. If I see him on deck at swim meets, of course we'll talk. And of course I root for everybody in my class. As West Virginia, we're sort of a smaller swim state. So it's important that, people in, a given class or any age, root each other on, especially with recruiting and as we take our next step in the sport and, we journey on towards college swimming. But I know Bruce, we don't really talk daily, but we roomed at Zones together, I think in 2019. And Bruce is a great guy. He could just committed to Finley. And I guess we root each other on from afar. Through COVID, we didn't really get to compete against each other or see each other on deck. Sort of, but that's everybody across the state. So I guess that was last year. So, we sort of fell out of touch, but so.
Now, do you guys rib each other? Like if you were to like race each other, I don't know how often I look at all of the meets and things, and I just don't remember. But I don't think you guys I feel like each of you have your own little specialty because and you hardly ever race like each other. But if you do race each other and you one of you happens to beat the other, is there a little trash talk that we do or?
No, Bruce is so humble and he's a really versatile swimmer. He can do anything really. But no, there's no sort of shit talking. It's we're all friendly.
Now let's talk about Frankie as an outside of swimming because you've obvious. That's kind of my goal with these. As I tell everyone that's on here, my goal with these, because everyone kind of knows you as that 500 guy, and they know you as it's really weird in the state of West Virginia all the way around. You spend so much looking at top times. You spend so much time looking at meet results that everyone is like a name and a swim event and a swim number. So let's get to know you as a person. So let's talk about what is there things outside of swimming that you have interest in that maybe people should know, outside of swimming. What does Frankie do?
Well, it takes up a lot of time.
It does.
Outside of swimming, I like. That's a hard question.
I know, it's been hard for everyone. Everyone's like, I swim for 6 hours.
Yeah. I like fashion. I like music and that's about it. I'm a pretty vanilla person, but
it's okay. As you can tell, I like music a little bit. There's a nice little piano background on there. So now what and then this is my favorite question to ask, and hopefully you've been prepped for because you said you watched the George Washington interviews. Here we go. If you could be dominant in another sport that's not swimming, what would it be?
Oh, that's a great question. And honestly, probably ice skating. And I know that's such a weird answer.
I love that.
But I love watching the Winter Olympics and I love ice skating. And in reality, if I get on ice, like I'm gonna fall.
Sure.
But I think it's such an interesting and cool sport, you know, just the way like they're dressed and like everything. It's like there's I don't know.
I would love to be able to do a triple axel. I just
Oh,
want to do one triple axel in my life, just one.
like the adrenaline of probably like doing that is just
Oh yeah,
it's unmatched.
yeah. I don't. Yes, I love watching figure skating for the sheer fact that I know I can't do any of it.
hmm It's stressful. I hold my breath when I watch the Winter Olympics, but
Now what? So you've been swimming for a while. Is there a favorite swim memory you have that you have, like maybe like a fun bus ride, like a cool swim memory that you have?
when I question, I always say my first zones meet. I think it was 2017. I was really young, but I'd never been around just that many swimmers, and just like it was swimming by itself, like just swimming, like without the social aspect, it's like shoveling coal is sport. It's awful.
Yeah.
But once you integrate sort of like a social aspect towards it, it just makes it so worth it. And being on that bus and being around, you know, I mean, I was in seventh grade, so being around, you know, seniors, juniors, like everybody who you look up to, and having that fun and you know, swimming, it sort of spiked my interest in the sport. And at that point, I became sort of more serious about it. And just like it was in Tupelo, Mississippi, so the bus ride was really long, and it was fun the whole way, like the whole way there. Like it was so entertaining. It was like a 5-day meet. And like every day was just so interesting. And it's so funny, they actually forgot to enter me in the meet. So like the LSC forgot to enter me in the meet. So they took me down to Tupelo, and they were like, dude, we forgot to enter you in the meet. So the whole time I was at no risk of finaling at zones at that point. So I just had fun the whole weekend. And you know, it was just a great time.
That's amazing. Well, now is Tupelo, Mississippi? That's not where Elvis is born, is it?
Yeah, because like the whole pool, like in the pool, there was a huge mural for Elvis, and there was all this Elvis stuff all over the town. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Now, what has been your favorite swim set or workout that any of your coaches has ever given you?
That's a hard set. Okay. You know, we do this, Club Mountaineer does this set probably 3 times a year, 3 or 4 times a year. And it's not, I wouldn't say it's my favorite set, but when you do good, you just feel so good about yourself because it's hard. 3100s on 130, all fast.
Okay.
And it's, you know, it's difficult because you get to, you know, number 12 and you're like, oh, I have 18 more to go. And it's a hard set. And when you do bad, it's sort of miserable, but when you do, it's definitely a confidence booster. And it makes you definitely feel like you've done something after the set because you're hurting. You get to the end of the set, and if you're able to maintain sort of like the pace you started out with, it's definitely a confidence booster.
That's good. My favorite's been 100 hundreds only.
That 2 weeks ago. I don't like that set.
Okay.
But
you have to understand, it's not the 100 hundreds that I like. And I tell everyone this, it's not the 100 hundreds that is my favorite part. My favorite part is the meal that you eat afterwards. Yeah.
You probably 1,000 calories. So
yeah, it's like you feel you don't care. You can eat whatever you want because you just did 100 hundreds, and then the nap that you do. Yeah, that's my favorite part. The 100 hundreds, yeah, okay, whatever. That's not nearly as exciting, but the food, because usually like that's when the parents really bring the best food is during the 100 hundreds afterwards.
Yeah.
So now this university, do they do anything fun? So I've always wondered this, and I don't know if anyone else has wondered this, but I guess this is my podcast and I can ask. How awkward is it to have, so you practice, or maybe it's really good for you. You have the swim meet at the pool that you practice in. Like the rest of us from the middle of everywhere else in the state have to like travel and we have to stay. you don't get any of that experience. So what is that like first, and then I'll talk about something else.
The aquatic center it's a beautiful facility. Like, it's amazing swimming here. And going to a meet here, but there definitely is a sort of an adrenaline factor that is taken away, because we used to swim at the natatorium. We would, for our mid meet, we'd travel up to Trees Pool, University Pit, and that was exciting because it was a different pool, different environment, and also you're coming from sort of a not as good facility to a amazing facility. So that's definitely taken away over the last few years that we've had the blessing of swimming here. But like it's okay. I mean, it's great. Like, I love swimming here. It's a good pool. And of course, when everybody comes here and it's a big meet and there's a lot of hype around it, it sort of compensates for that.
Now, because I know everyone else has these really like bus ride stories to go to states. Is there something that University High School does? Because you also have, if I remember correctly, you all have to set up the meet, don't you? You have to set up all the chairs and
it's usually just parent volunteers have to do it. So we don't really have like a tradition. In all honesty, we should. Maybe I'll talk to Coach Davis about that, but at this point we don't really have a tradition or anything fun we do.
That's what you need. You need to have a pasta party, like shaving party, all of those parties that I hear about all the time. So and so with that, with having the state, this will be like the last question. So with having the state there, is there any what's it like traveling away from your like really nice facility? So like you're always so you always practice there, and then you always swim there, and then you have to go to the other ones. Is there like kind of some sort of like a letdown when you go to a different pool, or like what's it like going to other pools and swimming?
No, there's not a letdown. Like, I mean, every facility is. I mean, there definitely are some slow pools anywhere, and it's not a letdown. It just is like, it's good to swim in other pools. It sort of just gives you like, I think it's exciting, honestly, because I always swim here. All our tri meets are here with MHS and any other high school team. So I think it's fun getting on a bus and traveling. Like tomorrow we're going to Wheeling Park. And I haven't been there since my freshman year. So just doing I think it's fun, honestly. Yeah.
Well, that was awesome. Well, I hope you have enjoyed this podcast experience.
You're really good at interviewing, because I'm awful at interviewing, but makes me nervous, but it's a good first podcast for me, I guess.
All right. Well, thank you so much. And you'll have to tell everyone whenever you do multiple of these, just remember, I was the first one to interview you.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome.